All right, first question, let's go. Let's go for it. How do you know what your calling is that God intended for your life? Well, not sure again what that person is in their life, but I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, matter of fact, your calling maybe. Sometimes, depending on where we are in life, we will have a different calling. I started at 15 years old, and I always knew that God called me to preach. I mean, there was this experience that I had with God. I mean, I had been fasting and praying, and my dad was a pastor as well, but I knew it was, anybody ever, it might be sounding weird for you, but for me, I had one of those out-of-body experience things. You ever had one of those? Anybody know what I'm talking about? So just for you that had that, that's cool. For you that think, oh my God, no. It happens. I do believe people can tell you how it's like you really do see yourself outside of your body, and then there God is saying, Leo, I want you to go. I just heard it at the imprint. So I knew I always was going to be a preacher, but what I did not know is how I was going to make a living. That's two different things. So the way I'm going to answer this is hopefully if you're going through this and you really want to know, so that's why I put this board up. I talk with my hands from Louisiana, I think that's why. But ask yourself, first of all, as God is talking to you. So this is going back and forth. How do I talk with God? I'm listening to what God is saying. I'm reading my Bible. Sometimes it's an imprint on the heart. But the first thing you want to ask yourself, what do I love? What do I love? God's going to actually have you doing something that you love, because what happens is the love of God flows through you. You have these giftings that God has given you, and it is going to flow out of that gifting, out of that love for God. And I promise you, God is going to give you a desire that you're going to love doing it. It might not always be great. I didn't say that. I said you're going to love doing it, okay? So ask yourself that. What do you love? Because it's going to give you that passion that you have. You're going to have this passion. And then I want you to ask yourself, what is the need? What is the need, okay? I'm getting this straight from, this is I think it's the Japanese a word for reason for being, okay? And this is how they define it, which helps you to look at your life. And so if you look at what is the need, not only do I love this, but I look at the need that's out there, and what will come out of that need is you're going to see where your gifting matches with what's out in the world. Okay, so what is the need? For me, again, the calling is I love to communicate. I love to even persuade people. The gifting that God has given me is the exhorter. So the exhorter is not someone that just encourages, but try to also get you to do something. So you'll notice I'll do a lot of how-to, even in, the way I'm talking to you right now, right? So it's like, how do you do this? Well, find what the need is. I can't stand people not growing. So the need that I see is I need people to grow. So what do you do to meet that need of people growing spiritually, growing in their walk with God? And then you ask yourself, not only that, but you ask yourself not only what you love, what you need, but what are you good at? Okay? What are you good at? Folks want to do stuff and they don't have the skill set. It's like you know what I mean? It's like, man, I really want to be a mechanic, and they go and they check out your car and it's worse. It's worse after they check. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? It's like it was at least starting. Now it won't even start. Well, either go to school, figure that out, but get good at it, okay? Be good at what your calling is, okay? Figure out if it's a skill set you like. Again, I am really an introvert, okay? You wouldn't believe that, but all you see is that part of me that's an extrovert. Well, that's what I use. So I use that gifting in both introvert and extrovert, and that is to communicate. So what happened? I actually went to school. I went to school to be a communicator and end up in mass communications, radio station for 13 years. That helps in preaching. Hello? Yes? Okay, so this is, find out what you're good at, okay? And then the last thing is these two right here. These two are the toughest one. Vocation versus profession, okay? Because this is, who's going to pay me? Okay, because, even though you have a calling on your life, your calling might not be your profession. Your calling might be where you volunteer. It might be a vocation, and you go, you know what? I love this, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my money here, but what I'm going to really do is I'm going to volunteer at the church. They don't have a whole lot of money to pay me, but you know what? I love doing this. I'm good at doing this, and I get fulfilled. That's really what it comes down to. And then here, a profession says that, you know what, I better go to school for this because there's some certain training that I need for this particular calling. And if I'm going to be the best, I don't want you to be looking over me saying, oh, yeah, we're going to have to cut this in six. Well, is it there where I need to cut? You know, you go to school for that. You don't go and say, no, I'm just going to be a surgeon. Hello? Y'all got that? Okay, so I think, how do you know? All of this comes together. All of this comes together, and I believe that you really feel a peace about what God has called you to do. It may change, folks. It may change. It may be where this is your calling for now, and then you end up where it may be a calling that you have to change, and it's something later. If you want a scripture to go to Isaiah chapter 6. I would go to Isaiah chapter 6. It was a huge calling. Isaiah did not know what he should do. And then he goes, and God came. And I saw God high and lifted up. And then God says, whom shall I send? Who's going to go for us? And Isaiah knew God was calling him. Would that work for you? Is that okay with that one? All right. I think I did good on that one. All right, let's go to the next one.